What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about a storm change that you may see at some point during the remainder of the Simpsons season and also in Chapter 7. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like some more, comment down below what you think of this change, and if you guys would like to use my code in the shop when getting anything. It is Evolved Jake, just like my channel name is, and it is underneath the webcam at all times. So recently, Fortnite has been changing the storm from the traditional like circular storm into a 7-shaped storm, kind of obviously teasing chapter 7. And it was leaked or rumored that different storm shapes would be something that we would potentially see coming in chapter 7, but we have actually already seen this in the Simpsons season. Twice this week, Fortnite has made this change and then shortly after reverted it back to normal, where they changed the circular storms into the 7-shaped storms. And this was done on Tuesday morning, and then it was done again on Wednesday evening. I think each time it was live for like an hour or like a little less than an hour, somewhere around that time frame. So not an absurd length of time, a very short like switch to the 7 circle and then back to, or 7 zone, and then back to the traditional circles. And the main Fortnite Twitter account also posted about this. A lot of people are saying, oh, it's just a mistake. They accidentally put it live early and it wasn't meant to happen. And then that's why they reverted it. After they did it on Tuesday morning and then reverted it, the main Fortnite Twitter account posted saying, the storm developing off the Golden Coast is cloudy with a chance of 7s. And are we seeing that correctly? Which to me kind of implies that this wasn't just a random mistake, that the circle storm went live and then got reverted. As I said, it was live for about an hour, got undone, and so a lot of people thought, okay, it was just a mistake or an accident. And then shortly after, the Fortnite Twitter account posted this, and then that just caused even more confusion because people were like, is it supposed to be here now? Was it a mistake that it was undone? It was very confusing. And then, as I said, Wednesday evening, which was a day later, they ended up adding the 7 storms again for a little less than an hour, around an hour time frame. So very strange situation. As of the time I'm recording this, the storms are normal circles, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's more times between now and the end of the Simpsons season where we end up seeing these 7 storms kind of come and go for temporary periods of time. Maybe they end up increasing the length of time, or maybe for the final day it's all 7 storms. I don't really know, but it's already happened a few times and been teased on social media. So it just wouldn't surprise me if at some point while you're playing for the remainder of the season, if you happen to see one of these 7 circles, if you are playing at a time where they randomly make it go live. So if you see that, don't be too confused. I have no idea how feasible this actually would have been, but I think it would have been much more interesting if their goal and their intention was to tease chapter 7. I think it would have been a lot more interesting if it was just a random chance to get one of these 7 zones, kind of like how Godzilla was when it first came out, or a lot of those transformation mythics when they first came out, where like there was a small chance to get it in your game and you just had to happen to be in the right game. I feel like that encouraged a lot of people to play more. With how these 7 circles were, it was just like you had to be on at the right time to see it. So I think if it was just a random chance, that would make me play more to try to get those 7 circles. And I think a lot of people would be in the same boat. Or maybe just something that was like advertised to be at a specific time, like, hey, play during this time frame and you'll see the 7 zones. But as it's been so far, it's been very short time spans, and it was just like very random. Like you just had to happen to be on. So the way they've done it is kind of strange and very confusing. Now I'm going to get into some potential kind of like leaks or spoilers for the next season. So if that is something you do want to avoid, you should click off the video now, because I know some people do like to avoid leaks for new seasons, especially when it comes to new chapters. So you should have hopefully clicked off the video by now. With this tweet, Fortnite posted saying the storm was developing off the Golden Coast, is cloudy with a chance of 7s. This could mean that the storm next season will be this 7 storm. So if you guys aren't aware, California is often called the Golden Coast, and it has been heavily implied by Fortnite's post, but also just straight up leaks, that the Chapter 7 map is going to be themed around the west coast of the United States. And so by saying this storm is off the Golden Coast, that's hinting at next season, and that's hinting at these storms for next season. it was already kind of like leaked and rumored that we would be getting these different shaped zones. As of now, we don't know if it's going to be something that changes game to game or if it's just going to be constantly the 7 thing. Me personally, as I kind of already said, I think changing the shape of the storm is an interesting change and something that hasn't really been done in Fortnite before. So I get why they would want to do that, and I think that's something that could kind of freshen up the game and increase replayability, especially if it changes game to game. If every single game it's just a 7 zone, I feel like that would get old and the novelty of it would wear off. But if game to game it kind of just varied what shaped storm you were going to get, I think that would make every match feel different and feel, you know, fresh and exciting in some way, at least in the short term. After months of that, we probably would have already been used to every zone. The novelty wouldn't really be there. But in the early days especially, I think having these different shaped zones be something that changes game to game is something that would be exciting to me, at least. So as I said, I expect these 7 circles in Chapter 7 now, but we don't really know if it's going to be every game like this or it's something that varies. I have seen a lot of players that got to play in the brief windows where the 7 storm was active saying that like it was really boring or they just didn't like it. But with it having been active for such small periods of time, I feel like it's very hard to actually formulate a reasonable opinion about how those storms affect the game and whether or not it's a good thing. Because, you know, Fortnite is a game that the enjoyability of every match can vary wildly. Even in a season that's like your favorite season of all time, there will be some games that just aren't your favorite, or some matches that are more boring than others or not as exciting. And there is so many different factors that would change that, you know, like who's in the lobby, how quick it dies out, what loot you get, how comfortable you feel playing at that time, your mindset at that time. I think there's so many things that affect the enjoyability of a match. So changing just this one variable and playing 1 or 2 games during that variable, I think it's very hard to determine whether or not that variable was like a good or a bad thing from the game. Anything in a BR, I think, takes a lot of different matches to really understand the impact of a change and whether or not it's good or bad, unless it's something that we've had many times before, you know? Like if they brought back medallions next season, we can kind of already know how medallions affect the game because we've had them for so many seasons already. But like these unique shaped zones, just playing 1 or 2 games on it, I don't think is enough to really formulate a solid opinion. So if you didn't enjoy it and you happen to play in that time, I would say just try to be more open-minded if they do enable it again. And then even if you haven't played it and you think it sounds terrible, trying to be open-minded going into it, I think gives you the best chance to actually enjoy it. Even if it ends up being a bad change, it'll be what it is what it is. But if you go into it open-minded, I think you're so much more likely to actually enjoy the change. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, if you guys did find this to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more. Comment down below what you think of Fortnite changing the shape of the zone and what you think of how they've rolled this out, because I kind of criticized that in the video, and I think having it just be a random chance would have been so much more exciting or interesting as a player than just like, oh, it happened and you missed it because you weren't on during this 1 hour. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.